If the big 15-foot Christmas tree behind me, yes, it's real. And Christmas is real. As real today as it was 2,000 years ago. If that's not the clue that it's Christmas time, perhaps the Santa hat gives it away. And it's okay to wear Santa hats, of course. Why not? As long as we know that Santa bows to Jesus, as we all do. If not now, during this time in our lives, then eventually all will bow to Jesus. I think that's what makes Christmas an offense. As much an offense today as it was 2,000 years ago. Everyone thinks now all of a sudden Christmas is the offense. And I guess it's because we've just kind of caught up on the offensiveness of Christmas. All of a sudden everyone wants to say happy holidays or say holiday blessings or holiday trees, and we're afraid of the word Christmas, or some people are afraid to use the word Christmas. They might get in trouble with their boss or something, or the government, or some person will try to go after them for being intolerant of their religion or offending them with this greeting. Whatever, face it. Christmas is full of problems. It always has been. Before Jesus was even born, we have Mary singing the words that God gave to her. And some of them said, His mercy extends to those who fear Him from generation to generation. He has performed mighty deeds with His arm. He has scattered those who are proud in their inmost thoughts. He has brought down rulers from their thrones. He has lifted up the humble. He has filled the hungry with good things, and He sent the rich away empty. Whoa, you don't talk to rich, powerful people like that. You don't even talk to sinners that way. That's kind of offensive. And then the story of Christmas, where everyone wants to think that it was such a peaceful setting. Think about it. Caesar Augustus, government leader, has called everybody to come forth. They're not going on a nice, peaceful pilgrimage. They've been called in for a census. There's mobs of people. There's no room in the inn. Everybody seems to know that. But think about that. Mary's close to birth and there's no place to stay because there's a mob of people. That means then the marketeers were out there with their wares trying to sell to all the travelers. How's that any different than today's confusion? Everybody's running around. Nobody knows what's really going on. Just buying and selling and traveling and stressed and no place to stay, and did we get the reservations, and how's that different from today, 2,000 years later? And there's Mary and Joseph, and I'm sure that was some stress and tension, and they ended up in a barn with animals and what animals do in the straw, and God makes His debut. And He sends out the angels not to bring the proud. No, He was humbling the proud. He brings in the low, the lowly. He brings in the dirty, stinky shepherds who can compete with the stink of the animals. And into this is where God says, this is where I take on human flesh, in the midst of all the mobs and the buying and the selling and no peace and no room and the smell and the stench. I humble and I lift up and I fill. John went on to tell us in his version of the Christmas story that the Word became flesh and made His dwelling among us, but that when He came into the world that was made through Him, the world did not recognize Him. He came to that which was His own, but His own did not receive Him. How is that different than today? Matthew reminds us that from the time that it was said that Jesus was on the scene, Herod already didn't like the idea. He didn't think of a Savior or that he needed a Savior because he obviously didn't think he was a sinner in need of salvation. How's that different from today? He went for power, he went for authority, for reign, and a reign of terror. So babies died in a search to snuff out, to kill Jesus. How's that different from today? Maybe today we are as close to the scene of Christmas as the original Christmas 2,000 years ago. Nobody recognizes how God comes to them. It isn't in peace and quiet. It's in the stress and the darkness and the dysfunction and the hurt and the pain and the pursuit and the proud and the powerful, the fights and the war. It's into that Jesus is born, even today. It's into that Jesus dwells. It's into that you realize that Christmas is really just another snapshot of the cross of Calvary. Christmas is no different than Jesus dying on the cross. Jesus in the manger. Jesus on the cross. Jesus raised from the dead. So that you wouldn't have to try to figure out how you could make your Christmas be peaceful. But to know that He dwells with you in the midst of where you're at in life. He comes and He breaks in His own offensive way, to save you from yourself. Merry Christmas indeed.
This Christmas time, Messiah.